In today's video, I'm going to recap the story of Snow White like you've never seen it before. Full of disturbing moments that will make you close your eyes, but at the same time, a story faithful to the Brothers Grimm's tale. So, sit down and get comfortable because in this video, I'm gonna tell you the story.
Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap the movie.
This story begins with the hunter Kaiser letting an old witch into the castle to poison the queen's daughter. To escape, the witch uses her magic and defeats every knight who stands in her way. The queen asks the doctor to save her daughter and orders the hunter Gunnar to always protect her, no matter what happens. As the queen, before dying, saw snow falling, she decides to name her daughter Snow White. Meanwhile, one of the dwarves has an epic fight against the witch but cannot defeat her and dies in battle. Years later, that same witch becomes the queen and Snow White's stepmother. With the king's death, she now has the kingdom under her control. Snow White is now a young princess who enjoys being with her people and helping them in any way she can. At the fair, she meets the prince, who arrives in the kingdom along with the Brothers Grimm. Upon seeing Snow White's beauty and humility, he is drawn to her. While she was buying a dagger, she notices a boy named Felix who wants to buy a shield, but his father cannot afford it. Snow White, in an act of kindness, gives him money so his son can have the shield.
Thank you 1,000 times, princess. I will never forget your kindness.
The witch is now a beautiful woman, but she becomes obsessed with maintaining her youth. Because of this, she practices dark rituals, including self-mutilation and blood magic, to preserve her appearance.
That's disgusting.
So, she asks the hunter Gunnar to bring her one of Snow White's friends to use her blood in a spell to keep her beautiful. The queen wants to be more beautiful to attract a more powerful king and destroy the kingdom she rules. Snow White and the prince spent the whole day together to get to know each other better, which increased the attraction between them. That night, everyone celebrates at the village fair. There, the hunter sent by the evil queen appear to take one of Snow White's friends. Snow White doesn't notice because she took the prince to her favorite place in the forest. Her friends, Inga, Ivan, and Sophia, upon seeing that the hunters are coming for them, split up and try to escape, but Inga is cornered by a hunter. Meanwhile, Snow White gives her dagger to the prince so he can remember her when he leaves, and as they were about to kiss, they hear Inga's scream. They find her, but it's too late. Before killing Inga, the hunter Kaiser reveals to Snow White that the evil queen killed her mother. He asks his companion to kill them, and the prince fights him so Snow White can escape. Reluctantly, she runs and meets Ivan. The two flee to the dark forest, where they are found by Gunnar. Meanwhile, the prince manages to defeat the other hunter. Gunnar, fulfilling the promise he made to Snow White's mother, helps her and gives her a dagger made of dwarf bones, which belonged to her father, to keep her safe. Gunnar takes Inga to the queen, and at that moment, the prince arrives to ask for help. Unaware that the queen ordered the attack, he tells her that Snow White fled to the dark forest. The furious queen orders Gunnar to find her alive, as her death would risk losing the throne. In the dark forest, Snow White and Ivan encounter the creatures that inhabit it, which surround them and end Ivan's life. Snow White pulls out her father's dagger, which scares the creatures away. Meanwhile, the prince gathers a group of followers in the village to venture into the forest and find Snow White. Even Felix follows them at the last moment. The evil queen believes she is the most beautiful and powerful woman in the kingdom.
I guess.
But the mirror tells her that power is not beauty. Thus, the most beautiful woman is Snow White. And to obtain that beauty, she must kill her and take her pure heart. The queen refuses because killing her would mean losing her reign. So, the mirror advises her to put Snow White in a trance to keep her crown and, at the same time, obtain Snow White's beauty without taking her heart.
And then I shall have it all.
Snow White walks alone through the forest in search of shelter, but the hunters find her and put her to sleep. At that moment, the 7 dwarves appear to fight the hunters. After defeating them, they leave one alive to send a threatening message to the queen, letting her know she has no power in the dark forest. The dwarves take Snow White to their home. Upon waking, they tell her they belong to the kingdom until the evil queen killed their families and the survivors, meaning them, were banished. Although Snow White tells them she also lost her family to the queen, the distrustful dwarves believe she could be a spy or a witch.
I'm not a witch nor a spy.
That's exactly what a witch would say. True, true.
When Snow White sees a tapestry of her parents, she begins to sing her kingdom song. Then, the dwarves realize she is Snow White, the daughter of the deceased queen. Snow White shows them her father's dagger, and one of the dwarves tells her she gave that dagger to her father before he was killed by the witch. The dwarves introduce themselves, seeing that Snow White is their princess. She is Arsta, who was the kingdom's doctor. This is Sunny, who was the jester. This is Dozer, who was the night guard. This is Beauregard, son of the dwarf who died in battle. She is Polin, who was the royal gardener. This is Grimwald, a necromancer, and Tiny, though not very tiny at all, who used to be Arsta's assistant. The evil queen, seeing her maid kissing Gunnar, decides to take her teeth to wear them herself. And also threatens the hunter.
I can take everything from you.
The surviving hunter arrives to deliver the dwarves' message to the queen. Seeing that he failed his mission, she orders his hand to be cut off. The prince and his allies find Yvonne's body and, frightened by what might happen to them, try to flee until... Meanwhile, Snow White cleans the dwarves' house as a thank you for their hospitality. Then, they hear screams in the forest, coming from the prince and his followers fighting the forest creatures. The dwarves join the battle and defeat the creatures with ease. While having her maid's teeth implanted, the evil queen tricks Sophia into believing she will help find Snow White, when in reality, she will use her to rejuvenate. After creating a spell with Inga's head to make poisoned apples to give to Snow White, she ages herself so Snow White won't recognize her. After the battle, Felix gets lost in the forest and encounters the evil queen. She uses him to learn Snow White's location and realizes the dwarves are protecting her before killing him. The prince finds it strange that no more creatures are approaching the forest. The dwarves explain that it's because of the spell the witch cast on them when they were banished, which makes them literally poisonous to the creatures. The prince asks which witch. The dwarves tell him it's the one he calls the queen. Realizing she is after Snow White, the group splits up to find her. Snow White is in front of the dwarves' house with animals, and when she sees them running away scared, she decides to follow them until she encounters the witch. Seeing her weak, Snow White decides to help her and takes her to the dwarves' house, where the witch offers her the poisoned apple. Snow White refuses, but the witch forces her to eat it and kidnaps her. When the dwarves and the prince return home, they realize Snow White has been poisoned. Arsta notices that the poison is the same one the witch used to try to kill Snow White in the first place, but her mother saved her with a true love's kiss, transferring the curse to herself. The queen uses Sophia's blood to rejuvenate again. The mirror tells her that it's not enough beauty and urges her to take Snow White's heart. She refuses for now, though she orders one of her maids to cut off her toes so Snow White's slipper will fit her. She also puts on fake nails and sews on new eyelashes.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
As her skin ages, she takes blood from Snow White to rejuvenate further. The dwarves and the prince team up to save Snow White, managing to infiltrate the kingdom. Kaiser informs the queen that the dwarves are about to attack the castle, so she sends her knights to prevent them from entering, sparking a fight against the dwarves, the prince, and his followers. Meanwhile, the brothers Grimm write down everything they see.
I'm a hero! Put that in the book.
Write that down, write that down!
Tiny tries to open the entrance. The guards shoot arrows to stop him, but he sacrifices himself so the others can pass.
Thank you, Tiny.
They reach the queen, where the guards defend her. Taking advantage of the attack, the queen decides to do what she has always wanted: kill Snow White. But Grimwald sacrifices himself for her. Seeing one of their own fall, Dozer and Sunny decide to attack, but the queen stops them with a spell. As the other dwarves try to help, they fall to their knees before the queen's power. Amid the chaos, the prince grabs Snow White and takes her to her favorite place. There, he returns the dagger to her for protection, tells her he loves her, and kisses her, receiving the curse himself. Kaiser appears to kill Snow White, but she awakens from the curse and attacks him with the dagger. Furious with the queen, Snow White enters the castle to confront her. There, the queen orders the hunter to rip out her heart. Snow White offers to give it to her if she promises to stop the violence and free her people. Gunnar promises, rips out the heart, and gives it to the queen. She eats the heart, only to realize it was a trap by Gunnar, who gave her a poisoned heart. The enraged queen attacks him. She grabs Snow White to kill her, but the dwarves fight to save their princess and use the witch's own magic to stop her. Taking advantage of the witch's weakness, the dwarves decide to torture her, cutting open her skin to expose her entrails.
That's gangster. That's gangster.
She begs Snow White for mercy, but Snow White and the dwarves leave her to be tortured by the mirror, which laughs at her ugliness until she disintegrates. Sometime later, the dwarves, the village, and the Grimm brothers gather to celebrate the coronation of their new queen. In the end, Snow White goes to the forest to remember the dance she shared with her beloved prince. And this is how the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more horror stories. See you next time.